Yeah. Oh!
いつもの視線はどうした？
1年前に死んでいたのでしょう。
病に伏せったあたりか。
はい。本物は林に埋められ。
There's so many layers to this show. It's Mao Mao's obsession, dedication, and endless intellectual curiosity to deepen her knowledge and understanding. Curiosity is everything. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a licensed psychotherapist and your favorite yapper. Welcome back. Last episode 2 really reminded me why I love this show so much and is such a psychological and mystery masterpiece. Assassination Zero, Samsonian, Helixy, Jin Ichimaru, and Roxy Love are the founding sponsor tier of my videos. Thank you. And shout out to every single patron member and YouTube family. Thank you so much. Sit back and I hope you enjoy.
翡翠宮へ行く。はい。
亡くなっ
Yeah, who killed her? Right, food poisoning.
ここ1年病に伏せっていたとは聞いたけど。
Right? The official cause of death is food poisoning, but we saw that quick glimpse in the last episode where there is someone with this box, and when he opened the box, there's a bunch of perfumes and oils. To my knowledge, perfumes and oils are not remedies for food poisoning. The fuck? You know? So obviously that's the official report, but unofficially, Master Jin Shi and everyone is investigating through the further evidence accentuated by Mao Mao and so on. Speaking of, see, did you see why Lady Yokyu smiled? Because she's like, great minds think alike. And that's also a smile of assurance. She feels comforted by the fact that Master Jinshi is coming and investigating this. Because again, through this very enclosed, intimate, private conversation in the last episode between Jinshi, Yokyu, and Mao Mao, with of course Gao Shan always in the back as the guardian, they know the severity of this. And Yokyu, as brilliant as she is, she immediately knew Jinshi is here because all of this is about her and her unborn crown prince. Episode 27, Corpus Fungus, Mao Mao's favorite treasure gifted by Jinshi. 第27话, 27 is 27. 东人下草, 东人下草. So dong, the first kanji is actually means winter. Ren means person. 下草 means summer plant, summer herb. But then you can also argue that 东人 could be a corpse because a person in the winter, a winter person, maybe hibernation, aka death. So a couple of different interpretations. But the literal direct translation of the kanji is winter person, summer herb.
邪魔しちゃ悪いな。女官が行方不明ですか。
そうなんだよ。タオって子で仕事熱心ないい子だったんだけどね。
Wow. Callback and parallel process. Remember last episode with the assassination? Also a core lady or lady in waiting went missing, and they found her corpse in the river. Here, same thing. A concubine, a middle tier concubine, died of food poisoning, and a core lady went missing. Parallel process. Master callback. Oh, RIP.
英雄会でかんざしを贈られたそうだよ。しかも結構出世が期待されている文官から旧官長は引き止めていたらしいけど。
Who's the person, the de facto source of gossip and tea in the royal palace? It's usually Xiaolan. You know, Mao Mao will literally bring Xiaolan actual tea and snacks and whatever left over from the garden party, and Xiaolan will share metaphorical gossip tea. But here, with Quake Doctor, because his functionality and his job descriptions is actually not being a physician because he's a Quake. But now he's spilling the tea. Hilarious.
それほど優秀な女官が結婚間近で挨拶もなしにいなくな
Yep,
った。
sus. Major sus. Ow, Mao Mao, hair.
それがないんだよね。まあ全くない話でもないけどさ。人間関係に思い悩む子も多いし。
そうですね。
A lot of women here have interpersonal concerns. Interesting. What does that mean?
こうしているとたまに忘れそうになるけど、ここは高級。
All right,
2000
political
の女
arena.
たちがうごめく花園だ。
In Chinese, it's called qian gong. Qian gong. Qian means thousand, gong means real palace or concubines. So it's a saying that usually emperors, especially in China, Chinese emperors usually have thousands of women.
今日は外で茶会か。
Speaking of
思いっきり
tea,
では解任をに気を使っているが、
she's paying attention to the venue and attire and so on. So in clinical terms, we call that behavioral cues or behavioral signaling. Definition right here. Behavioral signaling. Remember with Mao Mao's astute observation last episode that, hey, if you're only purchasing this specific trend of styles with belts being lowered, it could signal and show people that, hey, you're pregnant. That's why you're wearing more lax, loosened outfit. And obviously, Lady Gyokyu picked up on that immediately and started to diversify her outfit purchases from the caravan. Again, last episode, caravan symbolized danger disguised as elegance and luxury. Here, to flip that, Mao Mao also, I don't know if Mao Mao taught Gyokyu or Gyokyu just doing this because she's as brilliant as she is, or she's equally brilliant in a political sense, not in terms of detective investigation sense that Mao Mao is. She is using behavioral signaling by drinking tea in the outside, being attuned and very hyper aware of her attire, etc., etc. So she's using behavioral cues and behavioral signaling to missignal those wary eyes, whoever's watching her. Because I'm sure there's plenty of people watching her. Because I think I'm fairly confident to say, and of course, Luomen did say never speak on conjecture. So I could always be wrong. Because remember, I'm very good at predicting. I'm also equally good at being very wrong. She's using behavioral signaling to disguise her pregnancy because we don't know who knows the news. And at the end of the day, it is still largely speculation, although there's quite substantiated evidence so far. So very smart. It's a forensic technique, behavioral signaling.
そろそろ気づいている者もいるだろう。
Yep,
問題はその相手が有害か無害かだ。
exactly right.
戻ったのね。
It's not about the information of pregnancy leaking per se, but it's more about who has it leaked to? Who beholds that information? Is it someone benign and pro Yokyu or someone with malice? And again, Real Palace is a garden with caged birds of 2,000 women, and it is a political arena. What's the point of arena with gladiators? Because they are gladiators in their own rights, not through physical violence, but through psychological warfare and political violence. Gladiators fight till death in arena. And in this sense, with this pregnancy, it's quite literal. Miscarriage, right?
マオマオ、こちらへ。
Tea party.
お呼びでしょうか。ええ、こちらが。
Of course to
で
Jinshi.
は場所を変えようか。
特に問題ないです。
Yo, is Jinshi using Gyokyu as the messenger to invite Mama for whatever request? Because remember, Jinshi was sulky and sulking last episode. His feelings were hurt. Only person that could hurt Jinshi's feelings, only person that could make Jinshi the crown prince, the secret crown prince, to lose his composure is Mao Mao.
ここでお話をなさっては。
Years.
張飛のもとに長居するわけにはいきま
Ah,
せんか
okay.
ら。
Okay.
それに、ほら、
あら、玉葉様、諦めてください。それでどのようなご用でしょうか。
Yo, Mama, so what did you need? Huh? You're so needy, Jinshi, is what Mama's thinking. Because that's her attitude since season 1, right? I love this dynamic. My goodness.
帝が妃たちに娯楽小説を配っているのは知っているな。
はい。妃たちが読んだ後、にも読み聞かせているようで。
Remember, this is to disseminate information because information is power and literacy is liberation. Education is liberation and literacy is also a sense of privilege.
写本も出回り、字を覚えようとする者もおります。
Very good.
そうか。
Whoa.
ものを作ってみてはと思って。
Are they gonna build a library? Like a social club, except a reading club, a book club? Because remember, the emperor is a Mingqing, which is a good emperor, a conscientious emperor, right? As I talked about many times.
庶民の間では手習い所というのだろうか。
They're going a step beyond library and book club venue. They're creating a school. Again, education is liberation. And that's really smart. If you look at even the United States of America and the history of literacy among women started to pick up jobs, create sources of income, started working, and started become more educated during the World War era, especially World War II. I mean, World War I and World War II, right? Because most men were deployed and dispatched to fight the wars and women at home. And the GDP, the economy took a hit because of that. So women were forced to step up to produce and generate income out of necessity. And through that, they also started to become more educated and so on. But this is the reason why equity and equality in terms of education and everything else, of course. But specifically with education, it's a win-win-win scenario. Because higher the literacy, the more educated the population is across the sectors, across age, skin tone, gender, etc., etc. It creates and it directly boosts the economy of the country because the more educated you become, consumer behavior increases, the market gets positively impacted, and so forth, right? So in that sense, the emperor or Master Jinshi creating a school for ladies in waiting and servants will directly boost the power of the dynasty as a whole and the country as a whole. Look at China 20 years ago, because remember I spent 7 years in China, Shanghai, China. 20 years ago, China is the only country ever in the history that lifted 300 million people out of poverty into middle and upper middle class within a 10-year period. Let that sink in. In 20 years timeline, it brought up 300 millions of lower classes to middle and middle upper classes. What was their biggest avenue? Education, right? This is the reason I'm so passionate about education. And truly, education is liberation. Massive, massive shout out to Digital Flowers, to the Emperor, and of course, our Moon Prince, Jingxi. That's brilliant. Yeah. Oh! Mamao's genuine smile and that signs of approval shocked and appalled Jingxi and Gaoshan. They were literally electrified. They're like, duh! What happened to your nonchalant indifference stare? I'm not used to this cuddly, warm... Yo, this is literally high school romantic drama. I love this. Oh my god. Are you unwell? Remember, back to the concept of behavioral signaling? Jingxi and Gaoshan's been primed and familiarized with Ma Mao's behavioral signaling since season 1 for last, what, 2, 3, 4 years? And they're not used to her approving Jingxi and being warm. And of course, Ma Mao's always genuine. She's always real, sometimes radically so. Except for her cognitive and emotional gray wall of denial. That aside, she's very real. But that's what it's saying. This is the power of behavioral pattern. Because words are cheap. Words could be deceptive and misleading. But established patterns of our behaviors never lie. That's the power of behavioral signaling, right? Unsettling. There's the glare. You see, behavior signaling. Jingxi's like, woo! I guess you don't have any terminal stage cancer. You're not dying. You know, because there's a saying that when someone that you're familiar with is suddenly acting dramatically different from their previously established behaviors, it's usually a divine intervention. They found God or they're dying. So Jingxi's like, woo! Did you see her? Did you see his sigh of relief that, all right, now we're back. Dude, hilarious. Yo.
それでどう思う？
実際
Yes.
どうか。
ただ
言ってみろ。
南側の広場は搬入など利便性がいい一方で下女たちが教育を受けることを快く思わない方もいるでしょう。
Wow, Mama, your ability to read between the lines and think about the unforeseeable consequences. Because I like to view life through categories and systems. I'm a systematic thinker and I'm very cognitive. I categorize everything in life in terms of decision making in 2 categories. Every decision we make, and I do mean every single decision we all make, produces two types of consequences, two categories. One, intended, calculated consequences based on analysis, data gathering, and so forth, and unintended consequences, right? Because we don't know what we don't know, period. This is what Mama's telling Jinshi, that it is a great idea, but here's some unintended consequences that might happen. Prideful concubines, right? Core ladies, they're reading these lowly class ladies and waitings and servants learning to read. They're like, how dare they? They're peasants and so on. And it's not Jinshi's fault, because Jinshi is also extremely brilliant. Because at the end of the day, with their social positioning, Jinshi is a phoenix, a dragon, a sky of the real palace, the gardener, using Emperor's term. And Mamao she's not only from the bottom, she's still in the bottom, because she's not acknowledging her princess identity from the Lacan clan, right? So that it's an innate knowledge gap, because they come from two opposite worlds. So Mama was like, hey, what about this information? And we can kind of brainstorm and create a better plan to avoid that from happening.
北側にした方が良さそうだな。
ええ。使われていない建物もあると聞きます。
Is this the reason why they were saying that sewage pipe and there's funky smell in the north side in the last episode with that new lady in waiting that's been introduced? Was that a setup and foreshadowing for this episode? Because they knew it was abandoned, it was more desolate in the north, so they can build school in the north side. Was that a setup? That's amazing, dude. If that were, such an impressive writing.
そこを回
Amazing.
収すれば十分かと。訓練としては
Vocational training.
飯の種になる。
Oh, Mama, you're so good. Remember I said earlier, I think the partial reason, and not earlier as in last week, I think partial reason why Lady Gyokyu keeps a small circle of ladies in waiting is for intimacy, trust, loyalty, because everyone has a price, especially those struggle socioeconomically. That's why here, it's a callback to that. Mama was like, well, let's phrase it as not just a school for education. Because remember, most ladies and waitings and servants been illiterate their entire life. For you to appreciate the power of education and literacy, you have to have some sort of a background information. Why did Xiaolan only start to read and write? Not because she appreciates and recognizes the importance of information as power, but rather she wants to read the continuation of the novella and novels that were populated in the real palace, right? Does that make sense? For those who are illiterate, there is no reference point. They do not appreciate and they just don't know. Again, it's not their fault. We do not know what we do not know. So instead, Mama was like, hey, let's rephrase it as vocational training. It's a prospect to increase your income. And this is also what I said earlier with the United States history, with women's labor force and education, literally momentarily ago, right? Again, Jinshi comes from a great place. He's smart, but there's layers of depth that he just doesn't know. He can't even conceptualize. He cannot plan forward because he too lacks references. But here's Mao Mao, who can think on par with Jinshi, who also relates and understands sociopolitically with all the servants and ladies in waiting. In other words, Mao Mao is the bridge. She fills in that gap. Oh man, Mao Mao, you're amazing.
そういうものか。
See? He doesn't get it.
与えてみるとか。いません。
そう。
Yo! And in addition to all that amazing advice and information that Mama just shared with Jinshi, she goes a step beyond. Again, Mama's competing with my job as a psychological expert. She is tapping into consumer behavior. Just like last episode that she learned from our favorite pimp grandma. She said, you don't want to reward snacks every single time. I think about it. I don't know what everyone's favorite cuisine is or dishes, maybe pizza, burgers, sushi, Korean barbecue, etc. It could be our favorite dish, favorite type of food and cuisine. If we were to have it every single day, every single week, it loses the novelty and loses the flavor, and we're gonna grow sick of it. That's human nature. That's what Mama's saying. It's a psychological nature. It's a human nature. Rewards feels truly rewarding when it's not always there. It's that chase component, right? Oh my gosh, dude. So to wrap it up, Mama tapped into 3 levels. The social aspect, which is the power of jealousy, pride between concubines who are prideful, who might talk shit on the ladies in waiting, right? So that's the social aspect. Second, the economic aspect of rephrasing school to vocational training. And the third aspect, psychologically, give snacks once in a while to boost motivation, right? Intrinsically or extrinsically, and also to create that reinforcement learning, positive reinforcements. Man, dude, truly jack of all traits and master of many. Mao. Yep.
発想は悪くないが、育ち
Not to his fault, like I said.
から聞いてくるんだろうけど、あくまで私の主観です。お話は以上でしょうか。
Mama can't wait to just leave. It's not because she doesn't like Jinshi. We've already established, right? It's because she doesn't want to get tangled in the politics too much. Because at the end of the day, she knows she's at the bottom of the social political totem pole in the real palace. This is all part of her reflection and depiction of her traumatic, difficult upbringing, her awareness and her worldview, and her self-preservation tendencies. Because at the end of the day, the primary instinct of every sentient creature, including humans, is self-preservation.
それともう一つ、お前キノコには詳しいか？
Of course.
食用にも調薬にも使いますので、それなりには。
この時期になると勝手にキノコを取って食中毒。医局でイカンと松茸を食べてた。
Mama called out, bro. Jinshi's memories are amazing. Oh my gosh. And obviously Jinshi knew Mama's losing her interest and wants to leave. So what does he do? Psychologically, he's enticing Mama with things that are related to her core hobbies and interests and passion. Apothecary, mushrooms, herbs, medicinal properties. Jinshi knows Mama well. Just like Mama knows Jinshi well that, oh, he thinks it through. But his head is in the right place, but he doesn't always think through the 14 layers because he cannot relate because he's the prince. But at least he's self-aware. That's why he's coming to me. Mama and Jinshi, they know each other quite well.
果樹園の果実もよくなくなるそうだ。
あれは毒キノコじゃない。
So good, but so
それ
good.
に果樹園のは血と間引きしただけだ。
なので間違えて食べそうなものをあらかじめ処分してほしい。その際どんな毒キノコがあるかも教えてくれ。翡翠宮での仕事は毒味を除いて休んでもらうことになる。
Oh, she's finally going back to the poison slash food tasting role that she hasn't been doing in a long while, especially after she was re-brought back and bought out by Jinshi.
そういう話なら玉葉様の前で説明した方が良さそうだけど。
That sounds like something to explain in front of Lady Gyokyu. I think on the surface makes sense to prevent food poisoning by whatever gluttonous concubines, core ladies that he talked about on the surface. I think the deeper layer is probably he's trying to eliminate as many sources of poison and miscarriage for Lady Gyokyu. And he probably said this in private without Lady Gyokyu and other people's presence in the outside. Because again, there's ears everywhere. It's almost like Soviet Union era, right? There's ears listening and there's Brotherhood, 1984 by George Orwell. Similar vibe there.
先ほどといい何なんだ。
頼んだぞ。
わかりました。
What's that look he keeps giving me? I think it's like, hey, Mao, pick up what I'm saying or pick up what I'm not saying, but what I mean. Actually investigate and eliminate these potentially poisonous mushrooms for at all costs to protect Gyokyu and her unborn prince. Because do you know, aside from Emperor, aside from Lady Gyokyu, do you know who else is equally earnest and desperate and dire for that future crown prince to be born? Prince Jinshi himself. Because he cannot wait to shed his responsibility as the crown prince so that he can live his life on his own term without the baggage and the immense burden and responsibilities to become the future king, and also so he can date and love whoever he wants, aka Mao.
何かあるかもしれないが面白そうだ。さて、どこから行こうかな。
She
花
sounds so
園
much
に果樹
chippier.
園に松林。
Frog.
キノコの生えそうな場所はたくさんある。
What was that random ass toad? That was a toad, right? Is that also because, I mean, obviously many toads are also poisonous? Is that why?
どん生えてくる季節だし、女官がこっそり取るなら、人の手が頻繁に入る場所や南側は省いても良さそう。
Great deduction. Dude, this is the third time they reference the north side in the royal palace. There is something going on in the north with that smelly sewage, funky smell from last episode, building this new school. Something else is going on the north side. So many mushrooms. Oh.
なんだこの匂い。
Oh, that's the funky
ツン
smell.
とするような。
It stinks a little. That's, yeah, I was about to say, that's a funky smell that Shay mentioned last episode.
前に止水が言ってた変な匂いって。
Yep.
漏れた汚水が栄養になってキノコがよく育ってるのかな。
Interesting. Cause of poison?
ただいま戻りました。おかえりって。バッチーママ入らないで。もうなんだか臭くない？一体何してたの？大変充実した一日でした。薬として使えるキノコも収穫できた。毒キノコだと言って置いてきたからいくらやぶでも食べないだろう。
Yo, Mama told them they're all poisonous and quick doctor be quick, so he cannot discern what is true from not. Mama's doing this to protect her assets, medicinal and tasty mushrooms. And obviously, Mama loves digesting poisonous stuff, right? One, self-experimentation as a mad scientist in her core, but also, I'm sure she enjoys that thrill, that adrenaline spike of feeling that flirtation with death.
すぐに玉葉様の夕げだから早く着替えてね。はい。急がせてごめんなさいね。いえ。お二人の手首に黒い紐。夕げの後に出かけるわ。あなたも一緒に来てちょうだい。わかりました。つまり高級で誰か高貴な方が亡くなられた。
Funeral outfit, I see.
人妃という妃でね。中級妃でも上位の方よ。ここ1年体調を崩して部屋にこもりきりだったのだけど、食中毒を起こしたらしくてそのまま。帝が
That's true. Interesting. What's the beef?
人妃はちょっと性格に難がある方だったの。他の妃や女官への嫉妬が激しくて中傷したり。
Jeez.
思った玉葉様が毒を盛られたのは。
And for Hongniang, who's extremely pleasant and kind, again, head lady in waiting of each concubine represents the best interest and personality of the concubine itself. It's like the poster child, right? Although I do think Lady Xin with Lady Li Hua, they're quite different. And I know someone said she's like her cousin from season 1, right? So I think her aside, everyone else is similar in that way. Anyway, the point is, for her to say she was a little bit unpleasant, obviously through this further context, she was very unpleasant.
さすがに上級妃に対して直接嫌がらせはなかったわよ。けれど、そんな性格だもの。人妃様が事情をお聞きになったらしいの。
Oh, jealousy.
何か証拠でもございまして。
Dang.
本ニャン様からすればそれが本音だよな。
Makes sense.
食中毒を起こしたらしくてそのまま。
その際どんな毒キノコがあるかも教えてくれ。
Dots are connecting. Also, there has to be some connections between Lady Jean's poisoning and death and previous mentioned suspicion with the poisonous attempts in the last season. What if the culprits got rid of Lady Jin because they knew no one would investigate further. Because they're like, oh yeah, what a relief. Because the beef between Lady Jin and suspectfully with Lady Gyokyu and her pregnancy and miscarriage. So because of that connection on the surface, what if the culprits had this vote of confidence that, oh, even if I kill her and get rid of her, no one will investigate further? Because Master Jinshi didn't like her, Lady Gyokyu, and many people didn't like her. In other words, getting rid of someone that is unpopular by many would cause very little suspicion and cause for further investigation. Because why would you waste manpower to investigate someone's death when that someone is extremely disliked and unpleasant? So in that sense, it might be a brilliant cover-up for the culprit.
翡翠宮の人間を疑っているからだ。人皮を毒キノコで殺した犯人だと。玉葉様に肩入れが過ぎるように見えていたが、ちゃんと平等に対応しているじゃないか。
Obviously not.
なんて手間がかかるし、中級費を失脚させる方法はいくらでもある。他の侍女たちはその手の暗躍には向かない。となると疑われているのを。
홍영? Oh. Oh, so the primary suspect is me. She checks all the boxes, but obviously that's not.
子探しを頼む体でこっち
Nah,
の
that's not it.
反応を見ていた。どうぞ。
That's not it though.
おや？
Oh?
どうぞ。でも今の傷。
Did she get a rash from someone? Ooh. You know what causes rash? Poisonous herbs and potentially mushrooms.
せめてどんな症状があったのか生前に聞けていればな。
Oh, what the? Oh, she also had a bunch of rash on her hands. Oh, that's... Oh, what the heck? This is very... Oh my... Holy... What the... Oh, same symptoms. Yep, same inflammatory symptoms. Interesting.
ただれ。
お前キノコには詳しいか？
お月見
人士様の探したかったものが。
The actual source of poisonous mushrooms, because obviously as a upper middle class, upper middle concubine, Lady Jin's not going to do all her dirty work, literal dirty work, and full work of gathering, shedding them, cooking them, processing them. So who gets to do all the dirty work? Ladies in waiting. So that's why all these other ladies had rashes and inflammation, because they were the ones who actually did the processing for Lady Jin to consume, I'm guessing. But I'm sure there's deeper than that.
昨日騒ぎを起こした女は孫妃という下級妃だと聞いた。裕福な商家の
Wow, respect. She's losing hair.
謎の病にかかり、妃から降ろされるという話が出た。だが、実家に戻ったところで嫁に行くこともできない。
But even if she went home, she cannot marry. Because once you were a possession by the emperor, aka concubine, you are forever the emperor's possession, regardless of you no longer being a concubine. And what men, who dares to touch and marry a lady or someone who was once a concubine to the emperor, the absolute sky, the absolute ruler of the country? No men would dare to do that. Even if they know cognitively, intellectually, that the emperor doesn't care and he may not find out. But as a cautionary measure, no one would do it. That's what Mama was saying.
起き続けたのは帝なりの気遣いだろう。
Likely out of compassion by emperor. Again, to my point, emperor is a Ming Jing, a clear good conscientious emperor. He's a good emperor. He
では
cares.
なぜその下級妃が人妃の葬儀であんなことをしたのか。答えは簡単。病の原因が人妃であると考えていたからだ。
Oh, I see.
見つけた。
Oh, she found it. Well, what is this? Whoa.
人妃様、こちらを。
物々しいな。
はい、猛毒ですから。
Wow, extremely. Remember, Mao Mao loves poison in all forms. Truly. Poison is her second love. Her first love is her father, Luomen. Her second love is poison. And for Mao Mao to be this cautious, it speaks volume.
これはどこで見つけた？
Looks
下の
very
雑
cool.
木林です。長年放置されて荒れた林がこのキノコには良い環境だったのでしょう。
Mm.
発生自体珍しいのですが、大変危険な代物です。ほんの一かけら口にしただけで致死量に達し、入れるだけでも毒性を発揮。それ以上近づかないでください。
Wait, is this the corpus mushroom? I guess I guess I misspoke in the beginning of the episode with that gift by Jinshi. That fungus that grew on insect's body. I guess that's not corpus mushroom. I guess this is corpus mushroom. That's why it's a mushroom that causes corpse, aka death. That makes sense. Okay.
木のようにこうなりますよ。
Oh, she already tried. Of course she
私親
tried.
父と薬草を採取していた時に、
Oh.
同じキノコ。だが、この
Permanent scarring. Yo.
下にもまだ跡が。
Hella.
他は私がやった実験の後です。
実験って何？なんだ趣味とは？
そういや、
You know, people have hobbies like drawing, painting, coloring. Mama's hobby is none of that. Mama, you truly are different and very special with a capital S.
まあ、そんなことはどうでもよく。
そんなこと？
葬儀で見た人妃の遺体は肌がただれ、髪が抜けていました。人妃様はこの毒の出所を探しておられたのでは？
Nice. Nothing escapes her.
気が突然謎の病にかかり、毒物が原因だと疑われた。その犯人と噂されていたのが
人妃。
そうだ。だが実際に毒を持った確証までは得られなかった。そして1年前、人妃にも孫妃と同じ症状が現れた。同じ毒を誰かに盛ろうとして誤って触れてしまったんだ。それからの人妃は人が変わったように気落ちしてな。月に一度は様子を見に行っていたが、ろくに話もできない状況だった。 もともと気ぐらいの高い妃だ。耐えきれず毒を含んで自殺した。というのが仕えていた侍女たちの証言だ。
That's the testimony of the woman that served her anyway. But again, it cannot be suicide because she's very proudful and she had what? 2 years. She had 1 to 2 years to kill herself, to go through with suicide out of depression, all that, if she wanted to, but she didn't. Why did it take her until recently to die of food poisoning? And everyone else attested that it was suicide? It's not, right? The timing doesn't make sense.
一見辻褄は合う。だが、
But it's not exactly.
人
Something's
妃は
missing.
毒キノコを口にして死んだのですよね。
そうだ。
だとするとおかしいです。
Yep.
このキノコは食べることで腹痛や嘔吐、しびれを引き起こします。口の中には炎症も起こりますが、顔まで広がるとは聞いたことがありません。
Mm.
はい。遺体の顔の腫れはまだ新しいものに見えます。
Assassination.
直接毒キノコをこすりつけたような。引き換え、手はきれいな。
Yeah, she didn't touch it. Oh.
言いたいことがあるなら言ってみろ。
You see? Jinshi knows Mama well. So, and he also knows that Mama doesn't like to speak on conjecture. But again, speaking of behavioral signaling and patterns of behavior, Jinshi, of course, 2 reasons. 1, let's be honest, y'all. Our love boy Jinshi just wanted an excuse to be intimate and close with proximity with Mao. Level 2, he picked up that, oh, she's having thoughts, but she doesn't feel confident enough to verbalize it yet. So he is giving her a command and request and permission to speak.
数
Like
日
a
い
cat.
ただけませんか。できれば力があって口の固い宦官を数名化してください。命令される方が気楽。
Yeah, it's true. See? Jinshi knows
わかり
Mama.
ました。
Jinshi only utilizes his power and chain of commands, never to degrade Mama, never to make her feel bad. It always serves a purpose for the greater good when there's assassination, death, and other important preventive measures. Especially again, I think this at the end of the day pertains to Lady Gyokyu and her pregnancy.
しかし何を調べるつもりなのでしょう、シャオマは。
証拠を探すだけ。
See? Jinshi knows Mama. Detective Mama is back. She's collecting evidence and all the tea.
着きました。
キノコ。
Oh.
この匂いは。
Dead corpse? Dead corpse. Wow. Ergo, corpse mushroom. Not necessarily the mushrooms that causes death, as I suspected earlier, but mushrooms that literally grow on corpse. Wow. So this was the funky smell, not from the sewage. Wow, dude. Wow. Did they have positions such as detectives back in the days? Like obviously there is a police force, but there's also detectives. Oh, concubine? Someone of status with those jewelries?
いませんでしたけどね。
装飾品に人皮の紋が入っていた。
What?
殺害か事故かはわかりませんが、1年前に死んでいたのでしょう。
病に伏せったあたりか。
はい。本物は林に埋められ、
Ah, there's so many layers to this show. So she's been murdered. That's why the personality changed dramatically. She stopped speaking. And Master Jinshi visited Lady Jin at least once a month, but she stopped to speak. Again, back to pattern recognitions, behavioral pattern, and behavioral signaling. If the fake Lady Jin were to speak, for how sharp Jinshi is, he would have picked up on, wait, behavioral signals are, something's off based on the behavioral signaling. This person, Lady Jin, is signaling a different behavioral pattern than her established norm and baseline. So something would have been off. So what's the best way? There's only two types of people that who are best equipped to keep secrets. One, who are dead, and two, who is mute. They chose the latter. The culprits chose the latter. Don't speak. And they eventually killed her a year later, recently. But the real one was assassination or murdered a year ago. So many layers, dude.
人が
I
なり
love
すましてい
this.
たのだと思います。
では葬儀の遺体は。
姿を消したタオさんという方です。
They looked alike?
人皮とよく似ているのでは。
Yo.
顔を隠せばそれが誰か判別できるのはお月の次女くらいでしょう。月に一度の訪問者をごまかすことも可能かと。
つまり、
ある。きっかけは嫉妬だろう。人皮は自分に似た女官が求愛されたことが気に食わなかったのだ。自分は帝が来てくださることもないのにと。実際タオはひどく当たら。ごまかそうと提案した。
Interesting.
タオに断れるはずもない。だが結婚話が進むにつれて身代わりを続けることは不可能になっていく。
So this was I'm not simple. That was quite elaborated, but regardless, this was a simple murder to cover up the accidents from a year ago out of Lady Jin's abusive tendencies. Huh. I guess it's not related to Lady Gyokyu or anything more ominous. So I guess I overthought that by a long stretch.
動機なんてお偉いさんが勝手につければいい。
しかしなぜ遺体の埋まっている場所
ここです。入るんです。
She's so excited.
復讐がしていたはずです。まさか死体の上でキノコカス。
Oh, she got carried away.
そのキノコ
Out of her excitement, she revealed her protected treasure of mushrooms. Oh my gosh, Mama, you got carried away. And Jinshi, again, he's sharp. He bypassed all that information dump and went straight to pierce through her excitement and went straight to the core. So, Mama, what are you gonna do with this bucket of mushrooms? Huh? Love this.
大変面白いキノコがたくさんあるんです。
死体に入るキノコがか
使っていません。
Oh, that was called caterpillar fungus. That's right.
それに人に入るなら当人仮装かと。
没収だ
Ah. Ah. I think that's partially from Jinshi's pettiness because his feelings were hurt last episode. So he's like, this is a golden opportunity for payback. Let me compensate them. Oh, Jinshi. What a love quarrel, you know? I love this. Oh, but there's one that fell on the ground though. Oh, was sort of a traumatic. Huh? Oh, she's her intellectual curiosity. Man, Mao Mao again. Mao Mao is this impressive because of Luomen's amazing mentorship and teaching, because he too was an exceptional physician who equipped the knowledge of the West and the East, literally holistic medicine. That's one. But level two is Mao Mao's obsession, dedication, and endless intellectual curiosity to deepen her knowledge and understanding. Curiosity is everything, right? If you look behind me on the whiteboard, it says discover. And my brand, as you know, with my opening sequence, is discover more. Curiosity brings healing. Curiosity brings progression. Curiosity brings evolution. My most important principle in life is non-judgmental curiosity. Anyway, y'all, that's enough yapping for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. And remember, you matter. You are worthy. For real. I mean that every single time I say it to close out. At the same time, self-worth must be recognized by the self. As always, I hope to see you next week. And man, I love this show. Peace.